Pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Pleasant good afternoon, all you students. Welcome to the Friday afternoon's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today is Friday, the 19th day of September in the year of our Lord 2025. I said good afternoon, but to me, it's not such a good afternoon, and I will tell you why a little later. Nothing to do with health or anything like that, but I saw and heard some very disturbing things, which really upset me this afternoon. I'll tell you about it in a little while. So, but share the life, and here we are this Friday afternoon. We say Friday afternoons are special because people having worked all week are preparing to relax and to unwind for the weekend. People have chores to do and, errands to run during the weekend, get things organized for the new week. And so therefore, Friday afternoons are generally a special. I remember when I worked in the Guyana Police Force, I looked forward for Friday afternoons where you can relax. Because let me tell you straight up, I took an oath sometime in my service, I think I was an ASP, that when it comes to alcohol, I abstain from alcohol during the course of the week. I just take mineral drinks. But there was an incident, I can tell you about it now, which caused me to stop drinking liquor during the week. But on Friday, we had a side of us who met at the police officers' mess Friday afternoon, and we would imbibe, not over imbibe. We enjoyed ourselves, relaxed, and so. That was way back then. So, Friday afternoons are special to some people. So, yeah, share the life. Today, Friday, as I've said, the 19th day of September 2025, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living, because I continue to remind you that it is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. We are only here because of the mercies of the Lord, and that is not something to be taken to take for granted. We have a lot to tell you this afternoon, as is customary. Not a day passes where we don't have a lot of material, a lot of content. We have got to select, in many cases, which are the ones to deal with, which are the ones that need immediate attention. And you would no doubt, as I said in the when we posted the notification for the meeting, there's this controversy that came up. Guyana is never out of a controversy. The police is never out of a controversy. And I'm referring to this disrespectful and disgraceful attack on a sitting magistrate by the police. We're going to talk to you about it as we progress in the program. So share the live. The program was scheduled, or as we say, the gates were open at 2, and immediately students were there lined up to come in. My colleague CC, I should tell you, is in the studio, always ready. The man like Freddie. The man always ready. Always ready like Freddie. So if we have a change of time, whatever, CC is always there. He does his research and he brings you credible, valuable information. We're going to do the roll call. The thing now, the roll call, the first set of students that came in to the yard and the classroom are recognized, and then we move to the announcement and we move into it, right? So when we schedule at 2, the first person in, look, drumbeat, right? Stian was the first person at 2, followed by Ulrich. Ulrich retired, so you get time to make sure you line up for the classes early. Then Wayne from the UK, and it will be evening there when he came on. So yeah, then we have Janella, welcome. Peter, Carl, my good friend Carl from way back when. Sean from upstate was here at 2. Then we had Mahadio came in too. Aubrey at the same time. Derek Trotty is here. Then shortly after 2:01, goodbye. Then we had Raul, Brian, Aubrey, and this is Aubrey Graves and the Earl. The Angel was here very early Courtney, who ran from Essequibo Coast, and the list goes on. Diane and Anthony, they are the early students this afternoon. And when we went live, let me see who was the first on Facebook. As Cheryl used to say, Facebook. Those we called earlier were the ones in YouTube. Rosie was the first on Facebook. Then it followed by Joan, Junior, Simone, Joan Joan from New Amsterdam. Then it was Trifosa, AG, can't recall seeing the studio before. Rhonda is here very early. Then it was Joyce, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah, welcome you students, welcome. Good to have you here. And as usual, we are going to disappoint you. Even though you disappoint us, we're not giving the thumbs up, but we are going to disappoint you. Now, let me move on to the announcements. We normally start with those sad ones first. And then we know today, we did tell you today we had the funeral of the Director General Foreign Affairs, Elizabeth Harper. Now, fantastic woman. Fantastic. I worked with her. I knew her very well professionally. Worked with her. Again, I want to express condolences to Mark Harper, the former Guyana cricketer. That's her husband. Her brother-in-law is the former West Indies cricketer, coach, manager, Roger Harper. Right? So Liz has passed on. She was buried or is being buried sometime this afternoon. And condolences to the family of Liz. I know the only little blemish, let me say it, They say you don't say bad things, but it's not something bad. I said, I might have told it to her, I'm not sure. The only little blemish in her career, a true professional, but then she was forced, or not forced, she became a politician at some stage because she was the running mate for Donald Ramatar in 2015. She was the prime ministerial running mate, and we knew what happened there. I said, you should have never. You're a respected public servant, civil servant, professional diplomat, and so on. I believe that was a mistake. I believe that was a mistake. A fantastic woman. Fantastic woman. Real professional. She has gone. She has gone. At a time when you really need professionals, a time when you really need, because look around, in all the ministries, all the departments and so on, is a lot of incompetence you're seeing. A lot of incompetence. But, God is in charge. And when the time comes and the good Lord says time for you to come, you have to go. Including those who thieving, including those who lying, including those who do that kind of thing. When the Lord decides the time is up, that's it. The time is up. You have to go. And therefore, we say to people, make preparation, spiritual and other preparation for when that inevitable day comes, right? And then we have, like everything else, the blood have to flow. So it's been reported again, there's another murder. This time, they say we're somewhere in the interior there. Let me see that I get it right. Barometer. Some 20-year-old man was stabbed by his reputed wife. They lived together, 19 years old, I think they say. She's 19, and some altercation. She stabbed him in the chest. He ran outside, and then they claimed that she went to the police and she made a report. Well, let me tell you something. When you see the release that the police gave, oh my Lord, they can't change. A long thing they write there. A long thing they write. A lot of the things are unnecessary. They wrote there. She's in custody. But I looked on social media and I saw the comments there. And we're going to deal with that a little later because a lot of people say, Lucy, you want to self-defense. Man killing no one all the time. And the woman defended herself because they claim that he attacked her. He saw cutlass and she retaliated by stabbing him. But they claim she was intoxicated or seems to be under the influence at the time. So let's allow the investigation to be done. And it's not the police to determine whether it's self-defense or not. Let me tell you all that. Yeah? It is not the police to determine whether it is self-defense. The work of the police would be to gather all the evidence, favorable and unfavorable, all the evidence. At some stage, the DPP is going to get involved. If the DPP decides to charge, then a charge will be brought, and it's for the court to determine about self-defense. That's not police work. That is not police work. Police must make sure they get all the statement, all the evidence presented to the court, and then the court will make that determination whether there was justification or what. So we understand this thing clearly for all those who commenting on social media about justification and self-defense. That is not police work, and that the police should lose her. No, that is not police work. Let me understand this thing clearly. Now let me move on. Birthday greetings today. Today is the birth anniversary of one of the fantastic staffs that I had when I was Commander Bobby is Joyce Mill. Joyce was a special sergeant when I left there. I don't know if she got any promotion, but Joyce is observing a natal day today. Also observing a day today is a former, when I was at A Division there, she was there for some time, detective. I think she was Constable Donella Thomas. Donella is observing a day today. And retired Colonel Carl Morgan, my favorite senior retired GDF officer, Colonel Morgan. He was once in charge of the People's Militia, and a fantastic gentleman. He is observing a natal day today as well. And a good friend of mine, good friend, we call him Mecca, Nigel Mackenzie. Mecca is observing a natal day today as well. And in terms of, we don't have any belated to tell you of, but in terms of the future board days, I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, I remember Gordon Dubé was a detective. I remember him at West Demerara. I think Gordon Dubé is observing shortly. And the former chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Rear Admiral Gary Bess, is observing in the near future too. So I want to take this opportunity to extend birthday greetings to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future. All the best to you. May the good Lord continue to shower you with blessings, good health, strength, prosperity. Now let me bring in CC. CC, welcome. Always good to see you when we have these programs and even outside. Welcome, my brother.
All right, good to see you too. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. It's a blessing to be in the land of the living, but not only we must be in the land of the living, we must do God's work. Birthday greetings to all those persons that you mentioned, especially Joyce. I remember her too. When I was commander, she was the firearms clerk. She did excellent work. And my brother, Colonel Morgan, happy birthday to you. And Derek Trotty, another wine. The wines, it's high time we get together and drink the wines because they're chill and they might get turned to ice. So I hope that before they turn to ice, we'll reach up and drink some of those wines.
Yeah. So yeah, folks. So we are CPL, Caribbean Premier League. Some people refer to it as IPL 2. IPL 2. IPL, what is IPL? The India Premier League. And when the CPL, the Caribbean Premier League, started, some of us used to refer to it as IPL 2 because it was dominated. The management was dominated by the Irish. So it's the Irish Premier League. That was the CPL. Used to Irish. I think up to now, the CEO and all those people are from Ireland. So we used to call them IPL 2. So it's going on. We had a game 2 nights ago with the Warriors and the St. Lucians, and the Warriors prevail. Warriors prevail. So God, Warriors gone through to the finals. So tonight we're going to have the second qualifier between TKR, that's Trinbago Knight Riders, and the loser, so St. Lucia coming back. That is blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears. As my old drill instructor said, BS and FT. BS and FT. Blood, sweat. I can't tell you what the F is for, but the tears. A man named Corporal Jackson, BF and ST was the thing. Yeah. So we have that. It's going to be cat shit and pepper here tonight. But let me say this. Let me say this on the game with the Warriors. Warriors batted for us as we tried to make 157 and thing. A lot of people felt that was a score below par, right? A lot of score below par. But we got to look at some of the things because it was reported very early that apparently Jew would not have an effect on the game. And that was significant. Because when you're bowling second, a lot of people in these night games, you win the toss, right? You want to have the opposition bowling second because the ball can get wet and the ball can command for stroke play and all this sort of thing. But on this occasion, Jew was not a factor. Another thing to note, Sean and these cricketers, you see how crucial that, that Ghana Warriors use up the 2 review. They use up the 2 reviews. And coming down to the bottom, it could have proven fatal because the man edged behind and the umpire, they want to kill Dayton Butler. The umpire didn't see it or didn't air it, and he said not out. But Warriors had no review. So the man staying there, start lick some 4 and some 6, had them concerned. Thankfully, they won. They brought back the cussing out. Shout out to the cussing the spinner from Pakistan or where he's from. The man come, the man get the wicket. So he squeeze in when he come on. But he got the wicket. But could you imagine what would have happened to the umpire had the St. Lucian prevailed, having made that blunder in saying that out? But, all's well that ends well. And that is why we say the reviews are important, when to take them and when not to take them. You don't take reviews on any 50-50 unless you're sure you might get umpire's call in your favor. So it came very crucial down at the bottom there. Everybody disappointed that the umpire said not out, the umpire stood his ground, right? But that is what the game is. That is why we love cricket. So tonight, Trinbago Night Riders versus the St. Lucia Kings or whatever their name. That 8 o'clock tonight, right? Don't miss it, 8 o'clock tonight. And then on Sunday, the Warriors will play whoever win tonight game, right? So let's sit back and relax and enjoy our cricket. As I told you, I'm not a Warrior fan, but I'm a cricket lover. I'm a cricket lover. So I look to see good games and so on. Don't get emotionally involved in the thing any longer. Now, let me say this. Remind you again that this month, September month, is Amerindian Heritage Month. Matter of fact, what I reported earlier about the murder of this, I think there are 2 Amerindian people, the 20-year-old and the 19-year-old. And some people said, man, look, it's Amerindian month. Let it go free. You don't work, sir. You don't work, sir. But let me tell you, I said earlier that I was disturbed this afternoon by 2 things. The first thing that disturbed me, there is a video circulating on social media with some schoolboys where they were taking advantage, it appears, on one, boxing me up and all sort of thing. All set of them surrounding me and bullying and beating me up. That thing caused me my blood to boil, because I say this to you. Had that been a grandchild of mine, I know we're going to end. I don't know. So I hope that the authorities, including the police, they think they're all over the social media there now. People have sent it to me. I saw it there circulating. That is unacceptable. This bullyism and the thing. The poor boy, I don't know what he did, what they accused him of doing, but he was standing there doing absolutely nothing when this video was being recorded, and more than one of them striking him. And the others, of course, stood around. They're taking picture and so on. That thing caused me to get very upset this afternoon. I saw it about 2 o'clock. Very, very upset. And I said, I don't know if it was a grandchild of mine, what would happen? I don't know. But I'm saying the authorities need to deal with these matters condignly. The people at the school, police should get involved. The parents should deal with it condignly. And then the next thing that caused me a lot of worry this afternoon, God, I ordered a voice note that was sent to me. A lady complaining, right, that some 8-year-old girl, let me repeat this. Lady complaining, the voice note is there. Some 8-year-old girl was raped back and front by some person much older. How to say some big person, older. And they claim that a report was made at the Kitty police station. They called the name of the sergeant who was doing the investigation. They further stated in this voice note that the suspect was arrested and shortly thereafter placed on $20,000 bail to appear at the Sparna Magistrate Court. When the matter was called, I think day before yesterday at the Sparna Magistrate Court, he did not turn up. The suspect did not. Now, we got a lot of things to unpack from there. They further claim that the Child Protection Agency got involved in this matter. And the people at the Child Protection Agency are saying that their hands are tied because the suspect is related to one of the new ministers who himself has been embroiled with scandals of a sexual nature and other scandals. So that is what is being reported. And I would say, again, it's a good thing I ain't got no little girl pick me or granddaughter, because them things that cause people to bring, it's jungle justice you're talking about. We're not advocating for that. But this is what it would lead to. Because it's an innocent 8-year-old, the allegation is made, she was raped and sodomized by some older guy. In her own, somewhere in Sophia, this thing is said to have happened. The man was arrested, released on $20,000 bail. I can't understand why he was released on bail in the first instance. Maybe you want to say 72 hours finished. But let me tell you all something. With the same gusto that you all attacking the magistrate for releasing this man, Daniels, on $500,000 bail, you must consider that, because such a crime, a man who is alleged to have raped an 8-year-old girl and sodomized her at the same time, released on $20,000 bail, he should have been going from the police station straight to the court. And don't tell me about 72 hours, because if you all know what policing, you know they are, let me make it plain. I don't agree to the violation of people's rights. But I am telling you, a man who is accused of raping an 8-year-old girl and sodomizing her, he would have been in custody until they got to court and get a habeas corpus, or he goes before the magistrate. Let the magistrate put him on bail. Habeas corpus had to come in play. In other words, what I mean by that, student, is that his lawyer or somebody would have to go to the High Court and let the High Court order for his body to be produced. Let me understand this. They're talking about $500,000 bail for the man throwing us in. This thing upset me so much when I listened to the voice note. 8-year-old, innocent child. This man is accused. And again, I say there's a presumption of innocence. So we aren't saying that he's guilty, but there's a process. And the people calling on the police, well, let me say this. Because if, as they say, he was charged and placed before the court and he failed to turn up before court, then the matter to some extent is out of the hands of the police. I would expect that the prosecutor would have applied for an arrest warrant for him. And I would have expected that if he was placed on bail, they would have been able to go into the witness box and produce the evidence that he was placed on bail and ask for an arrest warrant. And then the police would have gotten involved again by going to arrest him in compliance with the warrant. But you know, enough time they didn't do that. You had Larima with warrant, the Wooly and the Glenn and Lucy and the play games. But this thing is very, very upsetting. And all right-thinking people, of which there are not many, but all right-thinking people should come out loudly and condemn this type of thing. Condemn this type of act. The man had turned up in court. And the family, of course, perhaps they know better. They're calling on the police. But if the police charge him and he was to turn up in court, right, and he had turned up, then it is up to the magistrate. Well, the police have to make an application for an arrest warrant to be issued. And then the police have to then search to arrest this man. This is a beast roaming there. This is a beast out there roaming. And again, I say these agencies, child care protection and all that, I understand that they were involved in the matter because it was reported to them, but somebody claimed that there's a limit to what they can do because of the political influence. They call the name of the minister who was himself embroiled in allegation of grooming or trying to solicit sex from a boy. A male minister trying to solicit sex from a boy. Right. They're claiming that it's the family. And they're saying that because it's the family, the hands are tied and they can't do much about it. So let me understand, those two incidents, the assault on this little boy, I don't know him. I don't know the victim in this matter either. But as a reasonable grown person, right, it should upset all of us when you look at what Look at the video there with the boy being assaulted, and then you listen to what is being said about this rape allegation. Let me bring in CC. I know CC's a grandfather and all this other thing, and I know, like me, he wouldn't take lightly to something like that happening to anyone of his grandchildren.
Well, Paul, my youngest granddaughter is 9 years old, and I shudder to think, hey, that a man would rape her and bugger her, and then you hear the police send him on $20,000 bail to go to court. The police should have escorted him and carried him to court. And even time was run out during the investigation. The law gives you the thing to approach a judge and get extension. Later on, we're going to deal more in terms of bail, that you get extension to keep him. You set him up on $20,000 bail for raping and buggering a 8-year-old? A 8-year-old? No. Something is wrong with the police. And then sometimes when you look at it, sometimes I think it was this, say some detective sergeant, female detective sergeant, was that person who sent him on bail. What about the subordinate officer in charge of the station? That is the person who's responsible to sending person on bail. So I don't know, was the detective sergeant sent him on bail, $20,000 bail, and then we hearing the other side of it, political interference or alleged political interference. No. It's mind-boggling, or we say heart-rending, that a 8-year-old would have got to gone through that thing physically and psychologically and all sorts of things there, man. But there's again a police force that we got, and there's what we got to deal with.
Now, in terms of the comments, we say he didn't deserve bail, but bail, we're going to talk about bail in a little while. We're going to talk about bail. But I'm saying that no station bail under those circumstances, no $20,000 station bail at that. It's not only bail, but $20,000 station bail for a heinous crime like that, the allegation that is what it is. And I hope they did what they had to do. The child was medically examined, and I hope all of those things, and they have the records, because things has happened, and then the next thing they can't find records, they can't find file, especially since the people are alleging that he has ministerial connection, especially that, and things can disappear. But it is sad. I blame the police in the first instance for putting him on $20,000 bail, because even if the 72 hours had been was approaching it, and go to the High Court and get extension. Go to the High Court and get an extension. He should have been taken from the police custody straight to the court, and let the court put him on bail if they want. So in that way, the police ain't got nothing. They can't blame the police. That is what I believe should have happened. Now let me move on. But again, I say those two things upset me, spoiled me afternoon. When I saw what they did to that little boy, assaulting him, several of them surrounding and assaulting. Again, I don't know what led to it, but the fact that I saw on social media is unacceptable. And then afterward, I get this report about this 8-year-old girl being raped and sodomized by somebody who is much older, right? And then $20,000 bail to go to Sparnam court. He didn't turn up in court. And then say nothing. Well, I didn't hear that part. So we hope the police can make a release as to what has happened. If the story as related by the person there on the in the note is accurate. If it is not, let us know what the facts are. Let us know what the facts are. Because you are looking bad. Again. Now let me move on. We have a lot of, we have a new Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Onig Waldron. I saw in the news that she was visiting. She went to the Breakdown place there and other places. Congratulations. What I want to congratulate the new minister for is that I noted, we had said to her that when she go on any visit or she go for any interaction, keep ropes and bend, who they get as the senior advisor to the Minister of Home Affairs. Keep it at arm's length, keep it far away. So I looked to see if he had accompanied her. And based on what I saw, it would appear that she took the advice. He had accompanied she. That's what I see from the photos that were there on social media. Now, if you don't like that, I got picture and plaster all over the place. Keep Robeson far from what is going on. You must chart a new course, Minister. You have a lot of issues to address. You were put into one of the most important, if not the most important ministry in the country, Ministry of Home Affairs, which deals with internal security. You have under your charge police, a corrupt and incompetent police force. And when I say force, not everybody. Leadership, not everybody. The evidence is there. The evidence is there. You get the prison service. That is a headache by itself. You get the fire service, headache by itself, right? Those are the three main departments under your ministry. And you need to make sure that you have competent people to advise you. You can't get no competence from the police force. I don't know much about the fire and the prison, but I know what fire is that the man past the age of retirement and he should have gone along. It looked like Ben, the same Ben, your predecessor, was auditioning for the work as a fire chief. He used to turn up at fire and he tell them where to put the hose. He was at the linen when they had the fire in the highway. The man actually handling the hose. So maybe he was auditioning to be the new fire chief. So keep it far. I'm talking about Ben. You know, we said Guyana is not a real place, you know. Guyana is not a real place. Would you believe that after we know elections were held? Let me pull up this thing. I want to read it to you. Elections were held on the 1st of September this year. Right? 1st of September, we had elections. Almost 3 weeks ago. Took some time for the results to be announced. The results were announced, and the president was sworn in, I think, on the 7th or something like that, Sunday or Sunday night. The Sunday following, he was sworn in. So therefore, from the time the president was sworn in, you're not going to member of parliament, you ain't got no minister, you ain't got nothing. Until the president took a decision to appoint new ministers. Even the reappointment of some. That was that period there where there was no minister, right? So until they were resworn, from the time they were resworn, let me understand it clearly. Until they were resworn as minister, there was no minister. There was no minister because when the president was sworn in, he swore in Mark Phillips as the prime minister, and then he swore in Bharat Jagdeo as the second vice president. So no minister was sworn, not until I think it was Sunday night gone or something like that. They had big thing at State House. They like them night thing and early morning. Look like they're related to Vlad, the vampire, Dracula, come out in the night, right? Folks, I have to show you this. I kid you not, I have to show you this. Let me show you. Let me put it up here. You see this, what I'm showing you? You might not be able to see it, but I'm going to read. This is a memo from the Ministry of Home Affairs to the Commissioner of Police. And this memo is dated September the 12th. September the 12th, 2025. And let me read, I'm going to read, right? And it is addressed to Clifton Aiken, Commissioner of Police Headquarters, Evelyn, Georgetown. Dear Commissioner, request for publication of guidelines on dress, appearance, and conduct in accordance with police standing orders number 9 and 12. Reference is made to your correspondence dated September 11th, 2025 on the above subject. I hereby approve the request for the publication of the attached guidelines on dress, appearance, and conduct in accordance with police standing order number 9, dress, and number 12, conduct. Kindly proceed with the necessary steps to ensure dissemination and compliance with within the Guyana Police Force. Signed, here it is, signed, Honorable H.R. Ben, MP, Minister of Home Affairs. This is on the 12th of September. Ben writing to Aiken, and Ben signing as Honorable Robeson Brindley H.R. Ben, Minister of Home Affairs. My God. My God. I tell you, lawlessness, Ben was not the minister then. Even if he was anticipating that he can come back, we know by now he get joked down, he can go back as a ministry. And he can write in and then hear this too. They can write in a county, he's referring to a correspondence that was sent to him on 11th. Well, he couldn't know that there was no Minister of Home Affairs on the 11th of September. They had to await the new minister. He didn't know that. And Ben signing, I want to know if there is not a criminal impersonation. Ben signing honor minister, well, he was never honorable, but honor HON is abbreviation for honorable. Honorable Bridley H.R. Ben. Bridley H.R. Ben. MP, Minister of Home Affairs. He wasn't a minister, he wasn't an MP, unless the MP and mean member of parliament. The MP got to mean something else. A mad person, that's what the MP got to mean. A mad person. These people have no shame, these people have no respect for protocol, anything. Ben signing on the 12th of September, when there was no minister at that time. There is no parliament. Up to now, you don't have any MPs. You don't have any MPs. Right? And the man signing this thing. It can write into you on the 11th of September, and he responding the next day as Honorable Robeson Ben, Minister of Home Affairs, MP, Minister of... Well, the MP can be a mad person. That is what an MP is. You know, it's sad, It's sad because that is why we talk. It's a banana republic we live in. And let me tell you all something, because I saw that crazy one that announced they're talking about Ashuddin Mohammed. We mentioned it before on this program. Let me repeat it here again for emphasis. As we speak, as of today, right, there can be no member of parliament. There can be no leader of the opposition. Why? Because you had an election on the 1st of September, and even though the members of parliament were to take up office, 36 from the PPPC, 16 from the We Invest in Nationhood, 12 from the coalition, and 1 from Forward Guyana Movement, I think it is, right? They are just designates. They are members of parliament designates. The process is, and you must listen to Mr. Jordan. I always tell you, I don't miss Mr. Winston Jordan on Thursdays. He spoke about it yesterday in great detail, even gave you the salary and all that sort of thing, right? And I got a refresher. Because once the election, remember, parliament was dissolved in preparation for election. Say, I got no parliament. Right? The next thing is for the president to make a proclamation for the 13th parliament to be convened. We don't know when, because there's a time frame, there's a constitutional time frame. Now, when that happens, and the parliamentarians meet, my understanding is they have to be sworn. I think it's the clerk of the National Assembly will administer. They are going to be sworn in as members of parliament for the respective parties. Now, once they are sworn in as members of parliament, then I think they have a process now to elect the speaker. And based on what we are told by the honorable and respected Winston Jordan, as we have seen, the speaker does not necessarily have to be one of the members of parliament, one of those people who were appointed MPs. As we saw with Nadir, and they had Bartland Scotland before, and other people before. They want members of parliament, a speaker. And then what happens once the speaker is elected, then they would normally then elect a deputy speaker. Right? The convention has always been, up until the last time, that someone from the opposition, main opposition, gets the deputy speaker's job. On the last occasion, PVP broke that. They decided they're going to give it to Schuman, who was one of the China parties. And Schuman and the other China parties had an arrangement to rotate the position. And when Schuman time came to an end, they put Asha Kisoon, one of the other China parties. When Asha Kisoon time come to an end, she decided, I ain't going no place. She squatted on in the office until the parliament life came to an end. She squatted there. And I said then, and I'm saying again, GECOM said that they hadn't the power to remove her. Well, if I don't know. She was there illegally. They had an arrangement. Well, maybe not totally legally, but it's a case where no scruples. You had an agreement, what they call a gentleman's agreement, that we're going to rotate this position as member of parliament. And when she time come to leave, she decide, me now, God no way. And she did not leave. Right? So the next thing is, the deputy speaker, then it is said that the opposition members will then elect the leader of the opposition. We learned that Asruddin Mohammed, the leader of the WIN, We Invest in Nations Party, they got 16 seats. So they got the most seat in the opposition. And they say he has indicated that he is going to be the opposition. Fine. But until you go through that process, let me understand it clearly, students, until you go through that process, there is no parliament, so there can be no speaker, there can be no deputy speaker, there can be no leader of the opposition, there can be no member of parliament. Let me understand it. Civic lessons. There can be none. When they convene and they go through the process, then. So this thing with Ben signing as honorable minister, he should write former minister of Home Affairs. Ben could not have been the minister of Home Affairs on the 12th of September. Could not. And I want to come and debunk that. No integrity, yes, there is no integrity. The woman sat down there, and despite all the public outrage and the thing, she had moved big money, I understand, involved, your salary and thing. I think deputy speaker get close to $1 million plus perks. So I am moving. So let me understand this thing with ropes and Ben. I made a note of it, and I said, I got to tell you all about it, about ropes and Ben signing as Minister of Home Affairs. He had a Minister of Home Affairs at the time, and he's signing up Member of Parliament. He had a Member of Parliament at that time either. So let me understand it. Let me bring in CC to obviously. CC, go ahead, my friend.
On the lighter side of things, perhaps the woman had a right not to move, because it was a gentleman's agreement, It wasn't the ladies' agreement. Now coming back to Ben, how in heaven's name he can sign as Home Affairs Minister and Member of Parliament? The current minister gotta be careful, because Ben started to usurp our position. And Paul, I like do statement analysis. And when I watch the document, standing order number 9, and I had cast to dive into standing order, the index, standing order number 9, and it says from page 19 to 28. I know what standing order number 9 talk about: handing over division and branches. Handing over division and branches. That's standing order number 9. Nothing to do with the topic matter, and it's page 19 to 28. That is in the index of the standard. So like the standard, the index and all, even wrong. So that's what going on. But Ben, completely out of place. His time finish. His time done. Galang even, he lucky that they give him a senior advisor position, so he could get little perks and other things. Although I never heard of him being corrupt, but he presided over a whole lot of corrupt people, from top right down. But making the point that standing order number 9 is handing over division and branches. So I know what the correspondence talking about. And according to the index, it's page 19 to 28. So they completely out of order.
Yeah, completely out. Now instead, I know he couldn't sign as a foreign minister. I was just suggesting about former. He shouldn't sign at all. He was not a member of parliament. He was not a minister. Or he could have, maybe they could have done like what the bishop from the police association did, that we had promoted. So he could have write that we had approved since back when he was minister. Maybe he could have done that, to say that we had approved. Now, the issue, when you read, they talk about standing order 9 at 12, I read the whole thing, because, and this here, I am cautioning or warning the women police to look at that document carefully, because there are some provisions there that they want to change which are going to impact members of the force, especially female members. Because when they talk about dress, the thing addresses women dressing. And one of the things I saw there is that they are asking to amend the regulations so that if a female rank gets pregnant within the force service, she should be dismissed from the force. I think that's one of the things I read. I can read it back. She should be dismissed. Now, in these modern times, I don't know. I remember there always was a regulation that if a woman on joining the force got pregnant within a certain time, then our service will be, I'm not sure, terminated or whatever. But I knew that there was a change to that. There was a change. I'm not sure. I'm going to do the research to find out what the change was. But one would have thought that in this modern time, let's assume you're trained for 6 months, because when you join the force, you are a probationer for 2 years. All I'm thinking out through the window, you join the police force, you are a probationer for 2 years. And at the end, coming to the end of the 2-year period, you go back into training school for your final training. And if at that end of that period, it was felt that you're not likely to become a fit and well-conducted constable, the Law Police Act provides for your services to be dispensed with. But all of those things were challenged, natural justice and all of that. All of that, right? So I am saying that I believe it's a little drastic. 6 months training, and they don't train for 6 months now. So you finish your training, and let's assume the person is married. The person is married. And in the first year, the person gets pregnant. You're going to tell me you're going to dismiss that body just like that? I don't know. These are the things I would hope that they would discuss. These women's organizations and all of that should take up these things. Take up these things. I don't know whether that is appropriate, right? I know maybe the person can't work, but can you not find some other way to deal with this other than dismissing this person? Those only one of the things I observed. One of the things I observed, yes, Marcy, you have 5 more years from them. They want them, so crow says so. How you look for that? 5 more years on them, right? So let me understand what is going on. I don't know if the women are aware, but now I know many of them listen, the word going to spread. Y'all look at that document that it can send to Ben for the amendment to Standing Order 9 and 12, whether the number right or not. Look at the content. And basically they're saying a lot of measures to be put in place. Well, you know, let me say this. When they talk about dress and conduct, them thing now only in writing in the police force, and then they're going to use it selectively, right? It's in writing, and then they are going to use it selectively. So the people who they favor, that ain't going to apply to them. Because they talk about fingernail and earring and all them type of things. Many of those things were always there. The length of a woman's hair and all those things were there long ago. When we revised or we were in the process of revising the standing order, we looked at all those things. We looked at all of those things. And then in the charge, we said we never done nothing, right? So we need to look at it, because I would think that in these modern times, that might be a little draconian to tell a married woman who get pregnant perhaps in the 9th month or the 10th month or so, dismiss. I'm bringing CC to comment on that, and then we're going to move on. CC, you need to say anything more on that?
Yeah, it was an issue in the city constabulary, you know, where they had dismissed somebody who got pregnant within a year. And it caused a big thing. I think Gary Bessu was then in charge of the army. And he said it was the same thing with the army, and he changed it. And I remember a time I talking to him, I said, man, why you change? He said, a part of it is that I preventing a whole lot of females from committing abortion. So he prevented a whole lot of females from committing abortion, because if you got pregnant within the 1 year, out you go. You may subsequently come back, but out you go. And I think it wasn't a good thing. But I thought that was settled. I thought it was settled. I know it's still on.
Well, yeah, you know, again, I'd say, maybe if the person gets pregnant within that upon a time, something needs to be done. But I'm not sure it's dismissal. I'm not sure dismissal is the answer, because I think that is what they're asking for the person to be dismissed. So I don't know, but it's something that should be debated, and not only among members of the force, but the wider society should debate this too, because if it is in the force, I suspect other organizations will adopt a similar policy. But it's something to be debated. Now let me move on. You know, during the just concluded elections, GECOM came in for a lot of flack. I am on record as saying I didn't believe that GECOM was competent to conduct a free and fair elections. And the evidence showed that they weren't competent to conduct a free and fair election. Election might have been even somewhat free in the sense of people could have gone, but in terms of fair, no. It was not fair. The record showed that. And you know, the incompetence revealed during the course of this week. They published the numbers, the votes and so on for the national and for the regional thing in the official gazette. The official gazette was published. And you know they had mistakes in the official gazette? People jump on them on social media, some wrong numbers. So much so that they had to come, the chief, the man in charge, CEO, had to publicly, he apologized and saw the thing and amend what was published before. How can you have an organization with little to zero credibility? People saying, oh, you're incompetent. People saying that you're not credible. Now you get to the stage where you run this election and people complain about the conduct of the election. Although you make things about photograph and ballots we take, all people violated that and with no consequences. And then you're going to publish now the numbers in no less a document than the official gazette. And you're making mistake with numbers? You're making mistake with the numbers? You got to come and you got to amend that and offer some apology or something like that. That is incompetence. That is incompetence. Things like that, you can't make mistake. You got to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Fine-tooth comb. You can't make mistake. And here one of the most egregious thing, egregious sins committed by GECOM. I know we all pick it up. But you know, I like for doing research. I love research. Matter of fact, I did one today and I smile because I saw certain things. I can tell you all about it at some other time. Right? I did my research. Remember I told you all about the new Minister of Local Government, not local government, sorry, of Labor, Keoma Griffith, the attorney from the South Road office. That is what they had said in a document dealing with the 20 children that were burnt to death at Madja. When they published the thing, they said an attorney, I think he was representing the interests of the parents. And they didn't put no name. All they said is an attorney from a South Road office. I said, that is suspicious. Who is this man? So I did my research and found out it was Keoma Griffith. Right? The same man, witness, he signed when I went there to offer these parents money, a $5 million for a child that dead and a 300,000, $3 million for who get injured and all them type of thing. He was the man who they claim represented the interests of the parents. He signed representing it as a witness. Then when they established the Commission of Inquiry, headed by Joe Singh, right, to inquire into the circumstances surrounding that whole thing, he was there again as the attorney there. And I asked the question then, and I made the statement that isn't that a conflict of interest? How could you have been the representative of these children, the legal representative of the children who died, or the parents, and then you come back here for the Commission of Inquiry? I thought it was a conflict. But them chapter got scruples and so on. Do you know that during the election there, Keoma Griffith, the new Minister of Labor, he took over from Pilori Joe. The man is a candidate on the PPPC list. That list, they said PPPC, People's Progressive Party Civic, or at some place, Peace, Poor Performance and Corruption, PPPC. He was a candidate on the list. Folks, Keoma Griffith was a candidate on the PPP list, and GECOM, the Guyana Election Commission, had him as an independent observer for the Guyana Bar Association during the last election there. The man was a candidate for PPP. I checked the Gazette and check all them things. He's a candidate for the PPP in the last election. Now he's a member of parliament. He's a minister of labor. And the man, during the last election, while being a candidate, he was an independent observer, I think, for the Guyana Bar Association. He's an independent. How can you be an independent observer when you're a candidate for one of the contesting parties? I can't understand that. But that is what these people get no credibility, they get no scruples, None at all. They have no shame. And again, I'm reminded of the statement of Lincoln Lewis, the trade unionist. Lincoln Lewis said the strength of the PPP is that they have no shame. And I agree totally with Brother Lincoln. They have no shame. So whereas some people say, man, we can't do it and look bad. That shit will look bad. No. They don't have that. They don't have that. So Keoma Griffith, the new Minister of Labor, was a candidate on the PPP slate for the last election. And at the same time, GECOM accredited him as an independent observer with the Guyana Bar Association. Y'all be there. Make that make sense. Make that, if there is not conflict, if there is not even corruption, y'all make that make sense to me. Make that make sense. Right? And that is what you have. And that is part of the problem we have in Guyana. People got no scruples. We talk about Asher Kisoon, sit down on the seat in our move, Keoma Griffith, and many more. We're going to highlight them as we go along. Many more. Unethical, yes. Unscrupulous, unethical. No credibility. And it's because of GECOM's incompetence. How GECOM did not know that this Griffith fella is a candidate for PPP, and therefore you can't accredit him as an independent observer. How did they know that? How they did not know that? And by the way, talking about that, where is the chairman of GECOM, Claudette Singh? Since before running into the election, the last time we heard is when they said she signed the declaration of the thing. But we need to know, a public figure, is she unwell? If she's unwell, let us know so that we can offer our prayers for her, right? Because she has not been in the public domain for maybe a month now, close to a month now. You hearing anything about Claudette Singh? So maybe GECOM can tell us something. GECOM can tell us something. And then the issue, we're going to deal with it next time because I haven't researched it enough. The issue about the commissioners, that's something to be dealt with at some other stage. I don't like giving out liberty when I read and analyze. So we're going to talk about that another time. But CC, this man was the man is a candidate for the PPP, and then he was an independent observer GECOM accredited. How does this work by?
But then, despite all of that, the Bar Association got to take some blows too, How could they put up a man like they did due diligence? A place like the Bar Association, a candidate for the PPP is a member of their independent body. Something is wrong there too, It was maybe a lot of nonsense play out at GECOM there.
That is more than nonsense, man. That is nonsenseness. That is nonsenseness because that is making sense to me. Independent observer. That's like when Anil Nandalal talk about proud house slave. Right? Coffee being a proud house slave. So how can a man who is a candidate on one of the slates be an independent observer for the same election? I don't know. Right? Now let me move on to the main issue for today. Tell you all this police force, the Guyana police force under Clifton has lost its way. They lost their way. And Minister, let me say this to you. It is not an easy task, right? And unless you show some, I was about to say balls, but being a female, unless you show some spine and backbone, things are going to get worse. Things are going to get worse because this police force has gone, the leadership has lost its way. And I'm referring here to this issue that is gaining attention. You know, there was this matter where two women were doused with acid on East Street. I think early in the month. I think around the 3rd, doused with acid. Heinous crime. Disfigure the woman's face. Apparently she was the target, and she was in company with someone else. We get a little sprinkling. But douse this woman with acid. The medical people are saying it is so bad that she's going to lose sight in one of her eyes and so on. Now, we saw, I want to read this thing, you know. We saw, it was published in Stabrook News 2 days ago on the 17th, right, that the person, Kieran Daniels, who is the suspect in this matter, was charged with this matter. And here, what the crime chief, and in case you all know, the crime chief is Deputy Commissioner Wendell Blanham, who, according to the records, is admitted to practice. It admits to the bar to practice law in Guyana. So he's a lawyer, right? He is a lawyer, and he is reported here in Stabrook News on the September the 17th, 2 days ago, saying, on Monday, I'm reading here from Stabrook News, on Monday, Crime Chief Wendell Blanham named Daniels of Lot 67, Iflock Pasture, West Coast, Demerara, as the mastermind behind the attack, as he confessed to employing the services of 2 other men to commit the act, as he was angry with Atleach for informing his partner of the affair. It goes on. According to the crime chief, Daniels told investigators that he shared a relationship with Leach, but he wanted to end it after she informed his wife about the said relationship and things escalated between them. He then hired the prime suspect, who Blanham said is well known to the police and is the person who threw the acid on Leach, and another man whose identity is unknown at this time. The third man was said to have driven the car on the day of the incident. The other 2 men are yet to be arrested. That is what Stabrook News quoted the crime chief as saying. When we spoke about this matter on the last occasion, Wednesday or whenever it was, we said that given this report, what the crime chief is saying, that the man says he's the mastermind behind the attack. He confessed to employing the services of 2 men. So we asked the question, how then could he have been charged for throwing this thing? They say, is he throw the acid? And we went on to explain to you the 4 ways a person can be connected to the crime: a principal in the 1st degree, which is the person who does the act; a principal in the 2nd degree, a person who been there but then really do the act; an accessory before the fact, a man who plan and scheme and thing; and an accessory after the fact, a person who aid and hide the person who committed. Those are the 4 ways. Based on what Blanham is saying, and as carried by Stabrook News, one would have thought that basically say he establishing evidence to say this man was a accessory before. Because they say he planned this thing. That is what they say. He confessed he's the mastermind behind the attack. He confessed to employing the services of 2 other men, but they charged him for throwing this thing. Now, all right. County what was reported, the man appeared in court, charged with throwing this thing on the woman. When I read the thing, the prosecutor objected to bail and told the court that they had a video confession for this man and so on. My understanding for what's reported in the media, that the magistrate then remanded Daniels until the following day and told the police she wanted to see this evidence that they have. It has been reported that when the matter came up the next day, the police were unable to produce the evidence that was requested. They say they had and was requested by the magistrate. As a result of that, the magistrate released Daniels on $500,000 bail. And what happened then? The police issued what I consider a most unprofessional attack on the magistrate. That's my view. And I made some note, right? I made some note. I'm going to talk about it in a little while. And here, what they released, what the police gave. We're going to dissect this. I'm bringing Mr. Conway just now, right? Press statement from the Guyana Police Force. In the wake of an over-increasing attack against women, in the wake of an over-increasing attack against women, the Guyana Police Force wishes to express its grave disappointment in the granting of bail by a magistrate from the Georgetown Magistrate Court to Kieran Daniels, who was charged with throwing corrosive fluid with intent, committed Angelica Leach and Narmala Sukraj. On the 16th, the accused appeared at the Georgetown Magistrate Court before our worship, Faith Bagusti, and was remanded to prison for 1 day. The accused appeared today, that is the 17th, at the Georgetown Magistrate Court before the same magistrate, and the police prosecutor objected strenuously to bail, informing the magistrate that the police were in possession of a confession statement from the accused on video, and that the victim is still in a very serious condition at the Georgetown Public Hospital. According to the medical officials, the victim has lost sight in one of her eyes, and her face is severely disfigured. Nevertheless, the magistrate still granted bail in the sum of $500,000. It is apt to note that the accused and the victim were in a relationship that had a history of conflict. The woman herself pleaded from her hospital bed that she wanted justice. Despite the every prevalence of violence against women in Guyana, magistrates continue to omit. That's what they write today. The magistrate continue to omit to take this crucial factor into account in exercising the discretion in respect of the granting of bail. The matter is further compounded by the high likelihood of these types of offenses being repeated, especially when the alleged offender continues to have ready access to the victim. Notwithstanding these attacks, the Guyana Police Force pledged to continue to make every possible effort in reducing, if not only eradicating, these heinous acts of violence being committed so wantonly against the women of our society. I'm out full. But here it is. The magistrate granted bail. And we're going to talk about bail and all of that. We're going to talk about that. And the police publicly criticizing the magistrate. The police are publicly criticizing the magistrate. Right? Let me tell you, I say that the act of the police or the response by the police can be described as unprofessional, reprehensible, unwarranted, and a disgrace to professional law enforcement worldwide. It's a disgrace. And let me say this, as a former senior police officer, many times you're not pleased with the same issue related to bail or sometimes even sentence. Magistrate might reprimand and discharge someone or give them a rap on the finger. You're annoyed about it. Especially, you did diligent work, hard work presented before the court, and you would have expected the court to be a little more condign in dealing with the matter. But that is it. But we never ever, you couldn't even contemplate publicly coming out and criticizing the magistrate. But I served them with Felix as commissioner, Larry Lewis as commissioner, and even Andy Green as commissioner, and the other commissioner. You dare? Any police force, the public cooperators, or the PR people dare come out to say you publicly criticizing the magistrate as that? Not because you might not feel dissatisfied, but because it is unprofessional for you to so do. You can't come out publicly and ranting, and especially the police force in its current state. Remember we talked about that? They granted a man who accused of raping an 18-year-old girl $20,000 station bail. $20,000 station bail, and the man has show up in court. And they as they have the audacity to criticize a magistrate publicly. And there's so many other instances where the police corruption and so on is being revealed. And they, Minister, I hope you look at that. And I say, you as a lawyer, now Minister of Home Affairs, and a former magistrate, I hope you will call them in and express your outrage as to the action. And I'm sure you can do it in a very diplomatic way. Let them know that that type of behavior is unacceptable and that you, as the new minister, you're not going to shoot and scoot. You're going to face these things. You're going to confront these things front on and let them know they can't do that. You have to let them know they can't do that. And this is the police, I suspect, is a press release. So the press release comes from the police corporate propaganda unit, headed by Mark Ramatar. Because poor Ikin, he did on there, sailor, you get a clue what's going on. So they're going to write these nonsense, and he as commissioner has no means or no mechanism to vet these things. They just write what they want to write and put it out there. Yeah, Daniel, yeah, Dharamlal and all them things, what they say about Dharamlal. But I'm not saying, let me understand this thing clearly, we are saying that this is the most dastardly act committed on this woman. Disfigure for life. Disfigure for life. And what is the story? The story is this man is said to have had a relationship with this woman. And the relationship broke up. And then she catch her pony. Y'all familiar with that word? She catch her. She gonna tell your wife that me and your husband had a relationship. And because of that, he decide he get vexed. And he decide he gonna organize, according to what the crime chief said, he gonna organize for people to throw acid punch you. Them that is human beings. Them that is human beings. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. We have more to talk because there's a response from the magistrate. I think, but before I bring CC, let me read the magistrate response, and then I can bring CC in. And let me say, magistrate, I wish to congratulate you for responding publicly, because when these things happen, you can't sit back and allow it to go. And then there's also a response from Attorney at Law Ronald Daniels, who was one of the defense attorneys. We're going to deal with that too. But here what the magistrate said. The magistrate, and this is contained, I got it, it was yesterday, I think. No trial by public opinion. Magistrate rejects police criticism over bail in acid attack case. Magistrate Faith Bogusti on Thursday took aim at the Guyana police force, criticizing it for issuing what she described as a misleading public statement on her decision to grant bail in a high-profile acid attack case. Speaking at the start of the court proceedings, Bogusti said she was, quote, surprised, unquote, by both the tone and content of the police release, which she argued misrepresented what actually had taken place in our courtroom. Quote, I wish to indicate that it seems that the Guyana police force received erroneous information, end of quote, she stated. Quote, the force would be better served having someone appear before the court so that they could have the correct information, end of quote. The magistrate stressed that investigators must carry out properly and the investigations must be carried out properly, and that all information presented to the court should be carefully filtered through prosecutors to ensure accuracy. Quote again, I saw things in that statement that were never told to me in the court, and yet it seems like it was trial by public opinion, end of quote, she said for me. Quote again, I do not have trials by public opinion, end of quote. In light of the incident, Bogusti announced that all proceedings before her will now be recorded to prevent any future misrepresentation. Quote, I am determined that each and every prosecutor, when matters are brought before the court, I will have a recording done so that no one can misinterpret what was said or what happened in court, end of quote, she declared. The magistrate comments followed sharp criticism from the police over a decision to grant $500,000 bail to Kieran Daniels, who is charged with dousing two women with corrosive fluid during an attack in Georgetown on September the 3rd. According to the police, Daniels was forced remanded on September the 16th and granted bail a day later, despite strong objection on the grounds of a video recorded confession and the grave medical condition of one of the victims who has lost sight in one eye and suffered permanent facial disfigurement. The force also noted the history of conflict between Daniels and one of the women and highlighted her pleas for justice for being from our hospital bed. It argued that such factors, along with the wider issue of violence against women in Guyana, should weigh heavily in bail considerations. While describing the court's ruling as a setback, the police vowed to continue pressing for justice and to intensify efforts to combat violence against women. Now, that's the part. But I bring Mr. Conway. I'm sure he has a lot to say about this whole matter. CC, over to you, man.
Yeah, man, it is unbelievable that the police could issue a press statement to that effect. And as the magistrate said, they talk about things that didn't take place in court. And I will view the action. Let me try to find some words from Blanum. It is inherently irresponsible or inherently reprehensible for the police to be issuing statements like that to the press. If there are issues involving the magistrate, there are better ways to deal with it. They don't have any kind of relationship with the magistrate. I remember when I was Commander Borbis, we had an issue with the chief magistrate who dismissed a host of the cases in Blackbush and one with another magistrate. And they were targeting my 2IC, Baram Prasad. So and people were calling on me to make a statement to the public relations department in relation to the matters. And I thought I would deal with it differently. I think Henry Green was the commissioner then. And I spoke with him and I told him what was my plan of action. And we met. Me, Baron Prasad, I think the crime chief was there, Charles Allen, and the two magistrates. And we met at lunch. We didn't have any drinks and we discussed the matter. And we came up to, to a very good position. There's no animosity. And I could always remember, and at the end of the session, the magistrate took out the shirt and handed it to me, and I did likewise. I still have that shirt in my wardrobe. I think that they was going through some clothes there, and I remember the shirt there. But there are better ways of dealing with a matter, and especially you're dealing with a magistrate. And in terms of the police poor investigation, police doing a lot of nonsense, people not turning up to court and all kind of thing, and then you want to attack the magistrate. And then I heard that it has a political twist, is that they wanted to sideline the magistrate for upward mobility, and want to use the police to tarnish our image. But they didn't do a good job. And you can't find the police and magistrate exchanging notes in the public. You know, it is unprofessional, and more so from the part of the police. That should have never been done. No way at all. And you mentioned about a statement by Blanum, I don't want to go over it. But he's wrong, he's completely out of order. Eh? A man who sit down and plan a thing and wasn't there, and you're going to charge him with the principle in the first degree, but he's a liar. Perhaps he read it in a different law book. But the conduct of the police in this issue is unprofessional, and they got to do better. They got to do better. There are better ways. There are better ways of dealing with the situation, and the time is not too late before it gets out of hand, because it starts hot up already. It starts hot up already. I know what the magistrate going to do next. What the magistrate going to be lenient with the police when they come with a put cases before and all kind of thing there, but they need to sit down and talk quietly and try to trash it out and bring back a sense of normality to the court situation.
Well said, my brother. Let me tell you how me experience with Magistrate. When I was the traffic chief, they had a particular traffic magistrate. I'll call him not name. But we felt that he was dealing too leniently with minibus drivers, errant minibus drivers. And then we learned that minibus drivers, he never used to drive. So the same set of minibus drivers used to pick him up from home, take him to court, and then in the afternoon take him back. So he was compromised, right? And matters come up before the magistrate, sending them away, reprimand and discharge, or even just reprimand and all of that. And sorry about that. I decided to seek audience with the acting Chief Justice at the time. And the Chief Justice arranged a meeting, it was an afternoon, with me, that magistrate, and there was another matter to deal with another magistrate. And I expressed my disappointment to the Chief Justice, the President Chief Justice, the other magistrate. I told them plain that this is not acceptable. And I went on to tell the Chief Justice, in the presence of the magistrate, the traffic magistrate, that we believe that he's treating them this way because they'll pick you up and drop you home free. They're picking up from work, they're picking up from home, dropping to work, and then take him back, right? So he said, can't happen. And the Chief Justice spoke to him. And we saw an improvement after that. And the other magistrate who was there, a female magistrate, we had reports about the orderly. You know, police ranks would be the orderly to the magistrate, who wasn't conducting himself well. And I changed him. And she was insisting that she want a particular orderly. And I say, don't work, sir. I'm the police commander. I will decide, I will determine who will be the court orderly. And when we went before the acting Chief Justice, she raised the same issue. And I had to say, let me remind the magistrate that we talk about police. I'm the police commander. I will decide who, Mr. Com. And the fact that I have decided to remove the person is not that he's being victimized, but I have certain information which tells me he should be removed. And you know what the Chief Justice said to the magistrate? He just said, well, magistrate, if that is the commander's decision, you have got to abide with the commander's decision. Right? If that is the commander's decision, you have to abide. And the matter resolved itself. Boy didn't go public and say you're making nice and writing and all that everything. That is what is going on. Now, let me tell you the kicker in all of this with the this matter is the post from Attorney Daniels. Is a little long, but I'm going to read it because it's very important, right? And Attorney Daniels say, I take the liberty of commenting on this release by the police force for two reasons. One, I am one of the attorneys representing the accused. So he's one of the attorneys representing the man who is charged. He said, and two, more importantly, this is an unjustifiable and unfortunate attack against Magistrate Magusti. I rather suspect that the motive might be deeper and dangerously sinister. I will preface my remarks by acknowledging, as I did in court, that this is a most grave and unfortunate incident. It should not have happened to any of the women or any woman, anyone at all. I stand resolutely against abuse and violence against women in any form. The police are who furnished the prosecutor with the information and evidence upon which the prosecutor relied on to object bail. The prosecutor told the magistrate that they had video recording showing the accused committing the offense, and that he gave a video and audio confession about committing the offense. We disputed the existence of the videos. As to the confession, we did put on record that it was the accused's wife who was arrested by police. He attended the station looking for her and he was then arrested. Yeah, so he got offside. He was then arrested. He was kept in custody from Friday and was threatened that his wife, who was still in custody, and his teenage daughter would feel the pressure unless he gave the statement and video implicating himself in the commission of the offense. He has young children who are heavily dependent upon the wife, so he did as the police coerced him to do. His wife was released not too long after he did. The issue of the confession and his challenge to this matter are to be determined at trial. The magistrate asked to see the video, and the prosecutor committed to producing it today. So, after the accused was remanded until today, when the matter was brought to court today, the prosecutor said they were unable to produce the video and changed their narrative. The new narrative became that the accused was seen in a car 2 hours before the incident in the general area where the incident occurred. The car was allegedly seen sometime after crisscrossing town and changing plates. This is the basis upon which the court was asked to deny the accused bail. On another occasion, I will share with you the factors court usually considers in granting bail for bailable offenses, and these offenses are bailable. This matter will be determined one way or the other based upon the evidence produced by the police and how well that evidence withstands scrutiny. As one of the officers of the court, I am constrained to condemn this vicious and unjustifiable attack against the judicial integrity of the Magistrate Magusti. It warrants noting that there has been some public pushback against Magistrate Magusti being at the risk of being passed over for confirmation as Chief Magistrate in the traditional system of appointment by seniority. I can only hope that this is not some deeper ploy to render her unsuitable for the office she now acts in and mitigate against any sentiment about her potential non-confirmation. If the police are genuinely concerned about offering protection to the way many vulnerable women, they will stop turning women away from the station when they make reports about abuse. They will stop making fun of women when they make these reports. They will stop making excuses that they have no vehicles to respond. They would be meticulous in their investigations and present comprehensive files to prosecutors. They will stop turning a blind eye to domestic violence in high places. The Guyana Police Force will do well to retract this disgrace from an article and tender an apology to Magistrate Magusti. Signed, Ronald J. Daniels. I concur fully with Mr. Daniels. But Mr. Daniels revealed some very interesting factors. And he said, and he was in court, we were not there. He was in court. And he's saying that the day when the person first appeared, the magistrate, having been told that the police get evidence of the person committing the crime. So they got video recording of Daniels committing the crime. That's what they said, right? And then they claim that they also had a confession statement from him admitting to the crime. They told the magistrate that on the first appearance. And according to this, the magistrate requested to see the thing. Next day, they said they can't show it. They don't get it to show. But the prosecutor said they weren't able to produce the video and change their narrative. They changed the narrative now. The new narrative became that the accused was seen in a car 2 hours before the incident in the general area where the incident occurred. The car was allegedly seen sometime crisscrossing town and changing plates. This is the basis upon which the court was asked to deny bail. Come on, they got more to it than this, right? Then to air this part before I begin CC again, the lawyer is saying that at the time the man's wife they had arrested the wife. We can't remember the story we said earlier. It is said that this woman who was injured went and told the wife that she and this man had a relationship. In other words, the woman told me had a relationship with your man. I know she was hostile or aggressive, but she catch up on him. And that may have infuriated him. So he decided to say, yeah, organize or to be born. But the story changed. They said the story changed. So according to what he's saying, the wife was arrested. And then when he went to look for his wife, they arrested him too. And then they told him, while his wife is in custody, his teenage daughter in custody, they told him that he got to get a statement. And he then gave the statement. And after giving the statement, the wife was released. And he was, well, let me tell you all that. I mean, the attorney alluded to that. That statement that he gave, this video recorded statement that he gave while his wife and daughter were in custody. Yeah, Bladam, you ought to know that. You ought to know what the judge's rules say about that. There is no way that that statement, that video recording could get past any voir dire. And I'm going to explain to you all, just those students, that can't get past no voir dire. None. And in case you all know what is a voir dire is a trial within a trial. So when the time comes, if that time comes for that statement, that video recording to be admitted in evidence, the person who took it, the person who conducted the interview, got to go in the witness box. And the first thing they have to satisfy the court is that the statement was taken or this recording was made free and voluntarily. There was no coercion, no inducement, nothing. The long thing they got to go through. And the fact that his wife and his daughter were in custody at the time when the statement was set to be made, that ain't passing no smell test. Let me understand it clearly. And I hope you've been to law school today. I haven't been to law school ever, but I attended some good police training, including prosecutors course, including staff college in the UK, including FBI. That cannot pass. And any sensible, even them COVID liar, got to know that. That once it is established that the wife was in custody, the daughter was in custody, how you getting that pass of voir dire? And it seems to me, based on what y'all say, all you get is this confession video. And without the confession video, this gone down the drain. This gone. Let me bring you Mr. Conway. He can tell you all about bail and voir dire and caution statement and all that type of thing. See, over to you, man. You're muted. Mr. Conway is muted at the moment. Let me see. Probably some technical issue there. Let me bring him back now and see. Yes, CC, go ahead. You're still muted, my brother. You're still muted. Check your connection there. Check your connection. Something must have plugged out. Something must have plugged out. But I really want to hear Mr. Conway telling us about the law relating to bail and the same confession statement, judge's rule, and all of that. You can hear me now? Yeah, well, we can't hear you. You better come. I suggest that you come out the studio, come back in something you must have touched, and you are. Hold on. Let me see. I'll unmute you from this end. Because I can see that your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. So just look for the button there and unmute. I can't do it from my end. For some reason, I can't do it. Normally, I should be able to unmute you. Yes, no, you just did it. You just unmute and mute back. So, yes, now the way you know. Same thing. Can't hear you, even though your mic show is not muted. I can't hear you. So let me give you some charge. Yeah, they're saying that the man made a video confessing to this crime. But then the attorney is saying, and I believe the attorney, I don't think Mr. Daniels, an officer of the court, is going to come and misrepresent what took place. He is saying that the man's wife was arrested. And his daughter, his teenage daughter, was also in custody. And during that time, he went there to maybe inquire about his wife. He was then arrested. And they're saying he was coerced into giving a video recording statement admitting to this crime. That Blanham in the first instance said that this man was a mastermind of. But suddenly now, from being mastermind, from being an accessory before the fact, He's now a principal because he's charged with actually throwing the corrosive substance on this person. How the passing through any legal smell test? How come? Explain that to me. Make that make sense. How that passing? The first thing, from the time they attempt to tender that, and this is routine, whether it's a written statement, see a caution statement, whether it's a recorded, video recorded caution statement, from the time it is an attempt is made to tender it, any attorney is going to object on the grounds that it was not free and voluntary. That, under normal circumstances, will spark a voir dire, which is a trial within a trial. In other words, the magistrate now will conduct a trial to determine the admissibility of this vital piece of evidence. And based on the facts and the circumstances, we can well imagine that they're going to say that the statement was not free and voluntary for the reasons we have advanced. And if that is the only evidence you have, as it seems to be, the case gone. As I said, it gone for China. Remember the other day, man said Ben, Pilau Rijo, and I said, gone for China. Can't stand. Let me bring him back, Mr. Cummings, see if he gets you now. CC, let me hear you again. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, we saying that according to the judge's rule, the statement has got to be free and voluntary. There must be no threats, no violence, no reward or hope of advantage. If according to what the attorney at law is saying, the man's wife was at the station when he gave this statement. Perhaps they say, if you're going to statement, your wife ain't going anywhere. And I remember giving evidence in court in Voide. And I remember learning from Viber Smith, who is on this program. We used to say it like in recitation. I use no threats or violence on him, nor promise him no reward, favor, or hope of advantage. His statement was free and voluntary. There must be no threats. There must be no rewards, no favor or hope of advantage. And coming out from the scenario that we get from the lawyer, though, if they give the statement, they can't stand up. It can't stand up in court. Paul, you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. You're loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, and let's look at bail. These are what I was guided by as an investigator, as a subject officer, as a station sergeant, as a subdivision officer, and as a commando, in terms of points to be considered in granting bail. 1. Gravity and nature of the charge. 2. Weight of evidence. 3. Status of the accused. 4. Possibility of absconding. Where you ask, will the prisoner attend court or will he turn up at the station at the appointed time or date? Will the granting of bail defeat the ends of justice? And you to be guided by the Constitution and the laws of Guyana. I have the Bail Act number 22 before me, and it talk about various aspects of bail. Section 4.1 deal with bail. Here's what it say. When a person is taken into custody without a warrant, a police officer, it will if it will not be practicable to bring that person before a magistrate within 24 hours after the person is taken into custody, shall inquire into the case, and A, if the offense is not punishable with imprisonment, shall grant the bail with every convenient speed, and B, if the offense is one punishable with imprisonment, may unless the offense is of a serious offense, grant the person bail as soon as practical. And we look at circumstances in which bail may be refused. Section 7.1. The court may refuse to release a defendant on bail where A, the court is satisfied that there is substantial ground for believing that the defendant, if released on bail, is likely to 1. Fail to surrender to custody or to appear before a court as and when required. 2. Commit an offense while on bail other than offense punishable only by a fine. Or 3. Interfere with witness, tamper with evidence, or otherwise obstruct the course of justice in relation to the defendant or to any other person. B. The court is satisfied that the defendant should be kept in custody 1. For the defendant's own protection, or 2. For the preservation of public order. C. The defendant having been released on bail has 1. Committed an act referred to in para A, or 2. Breach any condition imposed on the defendant for the defendant's release. D. The defendant is charged or is likely to be charged with a serious offense. E. There is substantial ground for believing that the defendant has 1. Given false or misleading information regarding the defendant's name or address. Or 2. No fixed place of abode. F. The defendant case is adjourned for inquiry or report, and it appears to the court that it will be impracticable to complete the inquiries or make the report without keeping the defendant in custody. Or G. The court is satisfied that it has not been practicable to obtain sufficient information for the purpose of taking the decision required. By this means, for want of time, since the institution of proceeding against the defendant. There are many other areas in this act talking about bail. And if you want to know more about it, please read the act. And the act is available for purchase the Parliamentary Office, Georgetown, $1,560. Well, let's hear the Supreme Law, the Constitution. What the Constitution say about bail. Article 4. Article 139.4. Here's what it say. Any person who is arrested or detained, A, for the purpose of bringing him or her before a court in execution of the order of a court, or B, upon a reasonable suspicion of his or her having committed or being about to commit a criminal offense, and who is not released, shall be brought before a court within 24 hours of arrest or detention, but the police may apply to the High Court for extension of time, and if any person arrested or detained upon reasonable grounds of his or her having committed or been about to commit a criminal offense is not tried within reasonable, then without prejudice to the further proceedings which may be brought against him or her, he or she shall be released either on conditional or upon reasonable grounds, including the particulars, such conditions as are reasonable necessary to ensure that he or she appears at a later date for trial or the proceedings preliminary for trial. Any persons arrested or detained and any other person shall be entitled to compensation thereafter. So the law is clear, the Constitution is clear, is related to bail, and also the Bail Act.
I think CC has some issues there. I see bubbling there. Let me say this. One of the things we must always remember, bail is not intended to be punishment. So the bail is not punishment. So you see how people jump up on social media and say this, bail is not punishment. And the Constitution says that a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court of law. So no matter what heinous a crime you commit, throwing acid, murder, rape, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. So, sometimes we allow emotions to get the better of us, and we say, oh, this thing looks so bad, and that. No, don't let me go down the road. Especially when we're dealing with the judicial officers, the judges, the magistrates. They have the law to interpret and follow. They can allow emotions to get involved. And that is what is carrying out police jump up with a lot of emotion. And let me say this, I've said it before, and I'm repeating it here for emphasis, right? In a court of law, in most democracies, It's not whether the person committed the act or not. It rules on what evidence is presented. Let me understand this thing clearly. You can see all what you saw, what evidence is presented before the court. In this case that we are discussing, the police, it is alleged, told the magistrate that, look, we have evidence of this man throwing this thing on these people. The man has given a confession statement. He has given a statement, even though the circumstances are questioned. The magistrate say, all right, I'll remand you today. You coming back tomorrow, bring the evidence, let me see the evidence. And they failed to do so. They failed to do so, and then they come cussing out the magistrate. They come cussing out the magistrate. And let me tell you all this too. This matter, this magistrate is not conducting a trial, you know. The magistrate is not empowered to conduct a trial because it's an indictable charge. And having read the charge to the accused person, the magistrate would have said that the charge is indictable, you're not required to plead. So therefore, if the charge remains indictable, this is a judge and jury got to try the case. The magistrate and try no case. All the magistrate is doing is conducting a bail hearing to determine whether the circumstances are of such that this man must be given his pre-trial liberty. That is the legal language, whether he is entitled to pre-trial liberty. And as a general rule, once the law allows a pre-trial liberty, right, the person, there are a few cases where pre-trial liberty is not granted. Murder, capital offenses, murder, treason. Those are not bailable offenses, right? But and understand that's before the trial, because don't get confused, right? There are cases now, Guyana, Trinidad, famous case, where murder accused is granted bail. But the circumstances are different. This is not at the early stage. This is after a case gone through trial, and for whatever reason, there's delay and all of that, and bail is granted. Because many times, most times, the bail is not, the delay is not occasioned by the accused person. And courts in Guyana, and there's a famous case in Trinidad where the Privy Council said that the murder accused should be granted bail. So we got to understand, again, bail is not punishment. So when people say, oh, it's only a little bit bail, and in this case, when we talk about the rape of the child, obviously the money was too little because so that the man didn't even turn up before the court. But bail, as CC explained, is to make sure that the person appears at the station or at the court. And that is why you can't bail yourself. Let me understand this thing clearly. If you're charged and you appear before the court or the police, you can't bail yourself. Someone has to bail you, because that person now, in bailing you, signing and guaranteeing they're taking on the responsibility to take you either to the station or to the court when the time comes. Y'all got to understand this thing, you know. So don't get like emotion run away with you, right? Don't let the emotion run away with you. The magistrate, as you know, many cases, you come to the police, even the court, they say sign a recognizance. In other words, you ain't got large money. In some cases, they say, well, you have a large surety, property, transport, something, right? Some cases, you have put cash plus surety, depending on the seriousness of the matter. And somebody got to lodge it on your behalf. So that person, the bailer, has a legal responsibility to ensure that you turn up in court when you're supposed to turn up. And if you fail to turn up in court, we talk about the magistrate being empowered to issue a warrant. But then the money that is large, whoever put up money for you, the money can be excheated, can be taken away, gone to the states. And if you put property, same thing. So that is why bailing somebody is a very serious thing. You have taken on the responsibility to ensure that the person appears either at the police station or in court when the time comes. So understand this. Understand this. This is about emotions. This is about the emotion running wild. Right? And that's why you will say, well, a person is well known. You ain't gonna run and hide. So that is why you find that, and people talk about status, a person is well known. That is why too you find that if the person is a flight risk, the magistrate can impose conditions, lodge your passport so that you can go out legally. So I got to understand how the thing operates. In this particular case, despite the police coming out and abusing the magistrate, the police seems to have been at fault because you told the magistrate on the first day, based on your arguments, the magistrate agree and the magistrate remand the person to jail until the next day because you, the police, said you have evidence, video evidence of the person committing the act. In other words, you have evidence of this man throwing this corrosive substance on the two female. And your father said you have evidence of him making a confession, video recorded. And when the matter came up the next day, you are unable to produce that evidence. So what? You're cussing out the magistrate. You're blaming unprofessionally. And I said, I don't even know if it can had a hand in this. Let me be fair. He just going along as a sailor. For all you know, it's Mark Ramatar and them for the Public Relations Office release this thing. And the only way for them to have released it, because I sure they were not in court, the magistrate made that point, they were not in court. Somebody, maybe the prosecutor, told them what transpired. And based on what the prosecutor told them, they run and they write it. That is what they're doing. But that's not the way it should be done. Because again, if you had people in the Public Relations Department, the Public Cooperation Propaganda Unit, with little police sense, they would know that something wrong, right? Because if you tell the magistrate that you have evidence to produce and then you fail to produce the evidence, how come then you're blaming the magistrate? How you blame the magistrate? And as the people said, maybe there's some sinister movement, sinister moves afoot to try to denigrate and tarnish the image of the magistrate, which is unacceptable. And again, I say, in this matter, the new Minister of Home Affairs is a former magistrate. And maybe this is one of the first matters you should seek to get involved in and to let them know in no uncertain manner that this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, right? Because, well, the station bail is something different because station bail and court bail is something different. When you put on bail by the station, is to ensure you go back to the station or you turn up in court on the day they tell you to turn up. So you get station bail, they say come back, whatever team, you come back, whether money large or not. Then you get court bail, the court puts you on bail. So even if you're put on station bail, cash, let me say you put on station bail cash, and you're paid before the magistrate, you can go and get back your money from the station, get the clerk to endorse that you're paid in court because it's bail from the station is for you to appear in court. Once you appear in court, you got to get back the money. And then the court might decide now to put you on their own bail. I have to lecture that to a young policeman earlier this year. Say, hey, because the man is telling me, you know when they give it a bogus charge, the man tell me, say, well, when the trial done, I could call. I said, no, officer, that is not so. Once I appear in court, I got to get back my money, right? They say, oh, sorry. So you understand, it's a training. So let me understand, when the court put you on bail, is to make sure you appear in court. And when the matter is finished, then you get back your money from the court. Go through the process, the clerk endorse, the receipt there, the bailer get back the money, and you're good to go. So let me understand this thing. Don't let me run away like the police and get your emotions take the better of you, and then you come across as looking very unprofessional and even stupid. Folks, let me leave with this one. We ain't touch the politics here. This thing was so engrossing and involved that we ain't going to talk about the politics. Let me leave you out with this one. Maybe come back next and deal with that. You know, James Bond, 00 not license to lick Bamsi, right? He there. He doing that sort of thing, man. He going to parliament, you know. They're sending him to parliament. Again, he been in parliament already. I'm sure he was a parliamentarian under the PNC. PNC, he was parliamentarian. So he got back into parliament. I saw a beautiful exchange. Well, I didn't see the whole exchange, but I saw what is my Psycho Andrews. Beautiful. Got James coming talking about the incompetence of the city council and so on. And you got to follow these things. And the man did a perfect dissection, right? I said, if you're saying that the city council incompetent and they should move on, what about the GPL? The most incompetent utility in the whole country. All them years, blackout from blackout, all the billions and millions of spending. So the man say, if that's your argument, then you should hand over GPL to the coalition. Because they ran it better when they were in office. But let me tell you, I believe James's motivation. I believe what his motivation is. Remember, the PPP have a way. It happened when 2020. All the criminal charges against the people. Anil Nandala had criminal charges. Irfan Ali had criminal charges. Ashley Singh had criminal charges. The Brassington chap had criminal charges. I mean, all those charges dropped. So James Bond, like you hit the jackpot, because James Bond got 3 criminal charges. 3 criminal charges. I'm reading here from Stabrook News on April 22nd this year. James Bond land case still before the court. Then I said case, but his cases, it's 3 cases James Bond get before the court. Right? They say in the first charge, Bond along with former national NISIL man, right, is accused of conspiring to defraud NISIL and the sole share sharer, the government of Guyana, by facilitating the lease of plot A7, A8, and A20 at Peters Hall without the board or cabinet approval and for purposes not aligned with NISIL's mandate. And then the second charge alleges that Bond and the same man conspired during the same period to defraud the state of its interest in plot 17, A17, A18, and A19, also located in Peters Hall, again without the required approvals. And then the third charge involving Bond and London and Richmond, the next man, who were accused of conspiring to fraudulently lease properties 1A or A1 through A4 of the same plantation under similar circumstances. Bond was granted $50,000 bail on each of the 3 charges. In late 2020, the Special Organized Crime Unit, so cool, right? Police began investigating the matter after receiving 3 cases from Attorney General Andy Nandala SC concerning the suspicious lease of several acres of prime state land at Peters Hall. So Bond got 3 charges before the court, but Jason, given the history of the PPP, it looks like you're going to Parliament there, and what's going to happen? Folks, the crystal ball telling me that before long, I don't know when the matters coming up again, you're going to hear that the matters are withdrawn by the Director of Public Prosecutions. If they're not withdrawn, the matter go before the court, you're going to hear something else. But Bond do all he talking, and he's still using, and he's still trying to keep good. I guess he can continue to do what he's doing until such time that the matters are disposed of. I would have said until the matters are withdrawn or dismissed, he will continue to do that. Because that seems to be his motivation. He's the main singer. James Bond. So that is one for the politics. He got into Parliament, but he's in good company in Parliament, you know. I can tell you about some others. Because where he is in Parliament there now, with the PPP, right? You get some who get charged, as I said before, charged with RAN, right? The Attorney General, the Ashley Singh. Don't forget Kwame is a convict, Kwame Mackay, convicted, right? You get Vikash Ramkisoon, accused of rape. I'm going to tell you all the story later. They get the next one from Bobby's, accused of causing death by danger, kill someone up on the road. Nothing and happen. You get Alistair Charlie going back to Parliament. Come on, y'all wait. Look, I'll tell y'all more, man. So he seems to be, it's a birds of a feather. Them flock together. And that is what happening. The birds of a feather flock together. Well, let me tell you all this story. As I close, y'all don't complain. Because you know what Crow say? Y'all don't complain. Crow say it.
November 7th, I see black man cry. No blood still running from black people's eye. But I remember when a sunrise, African rise. And I beg black man, please open your eyes. While I was singing and busting me labor string, black man asking me where Atlantic lay. Then they put their 14th finger on the shelf. So today, black man, you must blame yourself. But when I sing, they never listen where Coco say. Black man's mentality gone Spectrum and PSA. Big lyrics I sing in, they wouldn't listen to me. Black man telling black man, oh black man, come out to party. I remember when I sing Sham, we don't want it. They say black brothers say Coco, you singing shit. So they say through my fault while you strike your heart. Black man, oh you look for that. I want a white black man, always want that kickstart. Black man, oh you look for that. A man on a charge for interfering. Black man, all you still go and vote for him. Black man, how on earth you could condone this? Your daughter might have to work in this man's office. Then imagine this sex silver-headed pest. 12 fingers under your daughter's dress. Me saying that Patrick should have win, sir. But even Jim Baker will have been better. All them women who went begging the other day about this Mr. Way, all you have to say concerning this thing, all you're silent and talking peace. So the office girls must be at the mercy of this beast. He was charged, so whether it is false or true, I'm concerned because I have a daughter too. I'm talking from my heart, I'm telling you. Black man, oh you look for that. Why on earth black man always want that kickstart? Black man, oh you look for that. Tobago, I was really annoyed with you, but I realized all you get gets two. Who would have been both of them with a side with Pande and give away Tobago's best holiday? Then who go and sit down on the wrong table and then look for the best for the old Tobago people. But all you cannot quarrel, all you cannot fret. That's where you ask for, that is where you get. We still love Nelson and Calypso Rose. The world now we honestly recognize those. White up a great footballer with Aston Villa. We always show love and respect to that fella. But all you smile when Robbie married to Pande. I hope all you understand where Sadmarad say. If he thought I marry a black man, he drop shit black. Tobago, all you look for that. Mighty Magistrate done and Ricky Chai start. Tobago, all you look for that. Remember slavery on the plantation? Master used to use a black man to be black man. So when I hear 17, I got a pain. I say, oh God, black man go beat black man again. Cause black man give black man soup, but black man want harm. Black man intention is to pressure the old black man. He give them soup, they say he treat them like an outcast. So now black man takes okay. At a Robinson on behalf of the African, with 2 seats press you had the ball in your hand. I spoke to Leroy Clark and Capra Cameron, and up to now them can't understand where went on. You went and was knighted up in Africa, but to your black brother you prove a traitor. If Abu Bakr return and the shooting start, all you look for that. And if your daughter should cross the big man's path, all you look for
Crow. How you look for that? So don't groan. Take your licks. The other body comments that Coco said take your licks like Creole licks. Take your licks. Folks, we have had a long morning or long afternoon. Let me bring in CC for his closing. He's gonna give us a short closing, and then we're gonna give you a look forward. CC, we had a good afternoon. Let me hear you closing, brother. Let me see. Go ahead, let me hear you. Something again, we can't hear you. And something is wrong. We can't hear Mr. Conway. And folks, we have had a good afternoon. So let me tell you that today, Friday, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. You got cricket tonight, cricket on Sunday. Then we're going to see how it goes. God Spare Life will come again on Monday morning at 11 o'clock for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. I must tell you, though, before we leave, I understand that because I played the tune Woman Bacchanal on Wednesday, we not know Bacchanal yesterday. I have to investigate that. There was no Bacchanal yesterday, maybe because the Mighty Duke sang about Woman Bacchanal. Remember the thing, it was a big Bacchanal just the other day with the Nida and Shimakume. So, all right, we only add nothing, so we can keep the reserve for some other time, because the time was caught up with us. So, folks, enjoy your weekend, and as I always say, be safe. Be safe. Do everything. This place called Guyana is a dangerous place. So I encourage you to be safe, stay well, until we meet again on Monday, God Spare Life. Again, take care. Bye.